Hi, Oracle of Delray here. My name is Holly. I'm here to talk about the upcoming transit. Neptune is entering Aries at the end of this month in March. So thank you for joining me. Just a small overview of what we can expect society-wise. I focus mostly on like mundane astrology. But this is more social astrology. So it's kind of how mundane astrology is like politics related, whereas social astrology talks about impacts on society, things that people as a society can expect to happen, stuff like that, as well as how this transit might impact you personally. So let me just share my screen. All right. So, Neptune will be entering Aries this month on March 30th. The exact time, if you're in the United States, is 7:58 a.m. on Eastern Standard Time. Here's a painting by Etienne Girat, uh, of the god Neptune, which is what the planet is named after. So just some fast facts on this transit. It takes about 164 years for Neptune to completely orbit the sun. This varies year to year. So they spend about 18 or 14 years in each zodiac sign. Neptune is the ruling planet of Pisces and the 12th house. And Neptune itself is exalted, which means it is in its best energy when it's in Cancer or Leo. It's in fall, which means when it's weak and doesn't have a lot of impact when it's in Capricorn and Aquarius, and it's in detriment, so it's most uncomfortable in the sign of Virgo. The ruling planet of Aries, which is what Neptune is about to transit into, is Mars. And so the signs most impacted by this transit will be those with significant cardinal placements. The cardinal signs are the signs that start each season. And they happen at the solstices. They're demarcated by the solstices and equinoxes. So it'll be Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. Those are the cardinal signs, and they start each season. So they rule kind of like leadership abilities and stuff like that, as well as those with significant Pisces placements, because Neptune does rule Pisces. So anyone with cardinal placements as well as Pisces placements in their birth chart, rising sign top three, so rising, moon, sun, as well as stelliums, which is a collection of planets, three or more planets in one sign or house. You might be significantly impacted by this transit. And Neptune will be in Aries from March 30th until this year, until May 21st of 2038. So quite a while. It retrogrades for a little bit at the end of this year back into Pisces. It only goes back into 29 degrees Pisces during the retrograde period. And so 29 and 0 degrees. Each sign is 30 degrees in length across the wheel. So there's no 30 degrees Pisces. It just goes 29 degrees Pisces, then 0 degree Aries. And Pisces is the end of the zodiac. So the 29th degree of Pisces is the very last degree. It's called the anorectic. So 29 degree of any signs is called the anorectic. So the anorectic of Pisces is a very powerful placement, as well as 0 degrees Aries is a very powerful placement, the first degree of the zodiac. So Neptune's going to be transiting the very last degree of the zodiac and the very first degree of the zodiac over the next year or so. So some significance of this transit. The last full day Neptune was in the planet of Aries was on April 13th, 1860, or I'm sorry, April 12th, 1861, which is the day that the Civil War in the United States began. So during the whole, it entered Taurus on April 13th, 1861, but while it was in Aries for several years, like the conflicts that led to the Civil War, tensions regarding enslaving people and stuff like that really escalated while Neptune was in Aries. And so it's like the last day, the anorectic of Aries, when it was in the anorectic of Aries, which is 29 degrees Aries, is when the Civil War began in the United States. So Neptune and Aries is a very powerful kind of placement. Aries is ruled by Mars. It's the god of war. So it's no surprise to me that one of the most significant wars in American history started when Neptune was transiting Aries. Another thing in dealing with mundane astrology, like I said before, it deals with politics and stuff like that. This transit is occurring in America's 12th house. So when I do mundane astrology, I cast a chart based in Washington, D.C., since that's kind of the capital. Well, that's the capital of our country. And it also is kind of easy for me because it's Eastern Saturn time, which is the time zone I'm in and grew up in and stuff like that. But the 12th house, this transit is very kind of lucky in that 12th house because Neptune does rule over the 12th house. So all the conjunctions, which means when a planet is in the same area, the sky is another planet. So when they're close and they align on the zodiac wheel, that's a conjunction. All aspects, so conjunctions, trines, stuff like that. We read them within 10 degrees of the placement. So as long as it's within 10 degrees close to Neptune, it would be read as in conjunction or in another aspect as well. And so there's a lot of planets in conjunction. They're all in the 12th house. I'm going to bring up the chart here in a second. We'll see that. And then, as I kind of touched on a little bit briefly before, this is Neptune floating and entering the Aries point over the next year. And the Aries point is a very significant point in astrology. It's also known as the portal. It's the very start of the zodiac wheel, and major life events for us personally or events in society can occur when planets are transiting or aspecting the portal or 0 degrees Aries. Now here is, so the exact minute, 7:58 p.m. I'm sorry, a.m. that Neptune enters Aries. So you'll see the zeros, 0 degrees Aries, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. So, and here's the 12th house. The houses are demarcated in the center of the chart. Like there's 12 signs, 12 houses. People try to talk about the 13th sign, but it's really, this is more about having consistent math in terms of tracking the planets and being able to track them consistently using mathematics. And so we don't, in tropical astrology, it's the 0 degree Cancer is the first day of summer, and 0 degree Capricorn is the first day of winter up here in the northern hemisphere. We use astronomy in tropical astrology based on the tropics. And so it doesn't align perfectly with the constellations, which is where the argument for the 13th sign comes in. And we don't align it with the constellations. We align it with the equinoxes as well as the solstices to have mathematical accuracy within astrology. And so 12, you can easily divide and work with a wheel with the number 12. So that's why we follow 12 signs, despite what the constellations may have, or what constellations people argue are on the zodiac elliptical. And so you see there's a lot conjunction here. So we read it within 10 degrees. So from 0 to 10 degrees Aries is considered conjunction, and from 0 to 21 degrees Pisces would be considered in conjunction. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets in conjunction. I'm sorry, 5 planets in conjunction to Neptune for this transit. But we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 planets in the 12th house during this time, and this transit is happening within the United States 12th house. So a lot going on here in the 12th house with Neptune, which is very kismet because Neptune rules the 12th house. Now, in a lot of kind of astrology traditions, 12th house is viewed as like the last stage until awakening. It's like the deepest wounding and karma. It's like undoing the deepest wounding and karma. It deals in the realms of like spirituality, intuition, and spiritual development and stuff like that. So it's a very mystical planet. It's also called a generational planet. So your generational planets are Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and then like with Saturn and Jupiter, it kind of gets in between. And then personal planets are definitely Mars, Venus, Mercury, the moon, and the sun. So generational planets, it's called that because people over a generation will share these planetary aspects. Like Pluto is probably the most well-known generational planet. My Pluto's in Scorpio. Most millennials, elder millennials, as they say, they will have their Pluto in Scorpio. So it's like a generation of us millennials have the Pluto and Scorpio. So many generations, since this transit's happening until the late 2030s. People born during this time will all share Neptune and Aries. So that's why it's referred to as generational. And then just to identify kind of how to read a zodiac chart. So here's the key. You have the names of all the planets as well as their sigils or symbols. Right here, this is what Neptune looks like, and then you can find it on the chart here. And then down here, this looks very complex, this little triangle at the bottom left corner. You can read it very intuitively, you read it across. So like for this blue triangle right here, it's Neptune. We see the sigil matches. And then Mars, you can recognize that symbol. And then that triangle represents a trine. This little circle with a line pointing at around 2 o'clock is a conjunction. And so you want to read both the chart going across and going down to see what is aspecting Neptune. So we can see that there's several aspects, which I delve into a little bit. I'll dive into a little bit more in this video. Starting now. So the sun is the furthest away in conjunction from Neptune. Some might even not say it is. It's between 10 and 11 degrees away, usually read conjunction within a 10-degree orb. So the sun will be about 10 degrees away from Neptune as it transits the Aries point. And this conjunction, sun and Neptune, is it has the effect of like there will be like a creative outpouring, like getting your emotions out, getting your creativity out, anything that you've kept pent up. That'll be a great time. And sun is transiting Neptune right now too, so it'll be a great time for release and decompression and just feeling a sense of renewal. It's a great time to start spring cleaning the house, for example. It's a great time for discarding and cleaning and stuff like that, and just like getting all the pent up energy within, getting it out. So the flavor of Aries is that, Aries is about new beginnings, starting, taking charge, stuff like that. So it's about like getting that creative outpouring, getting that energy out so you can start something new, right? So we have to add closure to the things we want to get rid of and stuff like that before we can begin new things. So with the sun conjunct Neptune in Aries, it's really about, having a fresh start. But in order to have that fresh start, you need to kind of like purge and clean and discard what you're holding on to, negative energy, negative baggage, stuff like that. Find the proper outlet for it so you can release it and forget it. So Mercury is also, it's in retrograde or about to go into retrograde. I honestly don't know if it's in retrograde yet, but it's about to, even if it hasn't started. So it's going to be retrograding around this Neptune conjunction. And, Mercury deals with communication and stuff like that. And when it's in conjunct with Neptune, you might see like people will be very apt to like tell a secret. It'll be very easy to give away your secrets or to talk about secrets or talk about things that you would never have normally talked about before. So like Neptune deals with like the inner spiritual work and the mystical and stuff like that. And then Mercury combined with this like mystical Piscean energy just is like, you're going to be blabbing secrets. People are be really prone to blabbing secrets. And it's a good time for gossip, so to speak. If you have Scorpio placements, like me, I have a lot of Scorpio placements. It's a great time for gossiping, and people will they'll probably tell the truth without realizing it or without meaning to and stuff like that. But we can really see this Mercury transiting this Neptune entering Aries is a time where kind of like all the dirty laundry is going to get aired. And we could see this in politics as well. We could see maybe stuff coming to light that has been withheld from the public. The CIA, for example, releases stuff years after they do it. So we might get some kind of redacted or unredacted information from the government, or we might have some things about our government or our American history come to light with Mercury retrograding around this Neptune transit. Now, when Mercury is retrograding, it might be a little like people be wanting to like keep secrets and like not tell things out loud. But as it hits Neptune and as it goes direct once again, passing through Neptune, like people will be spilling the beans, is how I think this will really affect it. With Venus in conjunction to Neptune entering Aries. Venus is close to that 20 degrees Pisces, so it's about to enter Aries pretty soon as well and hit that Aries point. So our desires and our wants and our needs and stuff like that, our goals, they might feel bigger, might feel larger than life. With this Venus Neptune conjunction, we might get, especially with it in retrograde, we might get really frustrated. We want to do more than we are capable of, or we want to learn more than we can access right now and stuff like that. So it's kind of the conflict between like our inner desires and our ability to execute them, especially Venus being in retrograde. Now, when Venus goes back direct, it'll be easier. And it's about like kind of, this can also happen when we have too many things that we want to do. So something that can help is like really streamlining our goals. It's like we have so many goals we want to do. It's like, okay, what can I like what's the most pragmatic thing? Like, what can I most readily accomplish and stuff like that? So these like retrograding planets, orbiting Neptune at this time, it's really a good time for downsizing, purging, discarding, stuff like that, and really just focusing your goals. We might have a lot of goals, aspirations, creative ideas we want to do. Streamlining to like, streamlining them, listing them like easiest to accomplish to hardest to accomplish would be very beneficial for this kind of transit. With the North Node conjuncting at 27 degrees Pisces. So the North Node moves backwards around the wheel. So the planets move counterclockwise around the wheel. And then the North Node is different. It moves clockwise around the wheel. Now the North Node is a point. So it's the point in the sky where if a full moon or new moon happens at this degree, we have a eclipse coming up in March. So that means there will be I forget if it's a lunar or solar eclipse. I believe, yes. Okay. I forget which kind of eclipse it is. We have an eclipse coming up in March, and it means that the sun, or the moon will be at the North Node point. This happened, and the eclipse happens at the beginning of March. That makes sense. So we have a new moon around March 15th, and it's going to occur when both the sun and the moon are near this 27 degrees Pisces. So because it occurs at the North Node point, that's what causes an eclipse. Whenever there's a full moon or a new moon at the North Node point, it will result in an eclipse. And we have one this March. So at 27 degrees Pisces. But so the North Node in conjunct with Neptune is also deals with the release of karmic patterns, going back to that theme with the sun and the purging and the creative energy and the creative outpouring. The North Node kind of adds some extra validity to this kind of feeling, urge, or compulsion to just like get out with the old and get to prepare in with the new kind of thing. So it's the kind of like release of karmic patterns. Maybe, you resolve conflicts with family members and stuff like that, come to a peace and like relationships with conflict and stuff like that, whether it be family or friends, finding peace and like really figuring out who you want to have in your life and who you don't want to have in your life, and like releasing the baggage and negative energy and conflicts with those that you do want to have in your life. And then the last conjunct is Saturn and Neptune. And this is really, it makes a lot of sense for like the current zeitgeist in America right now, so to speak. So this kind of conjunction, it creates a tension and a conflict between the spiritual and the material. So there's a lot of talk in politics about material, which would be like wealth, the economy, and stuff like that. And then the spiritual, we live in an unjust society that, late stage capitalism relies on exploitation and stuff like that. So there might be a big reckoning with how problematic late stage capitalism is, and what is it for? Especially the waste that we have on this planet. So much goes into landfills. We waste so much food. We waste so much material and stuff like that. And this will really, I think, bring about a reckoning in the coming months. The Saturn coming up towards Neptune, about to fully conjunct it while it's in Aries, but it's close and it's within a 6-degree orb. So this this tension might kind of escalate. With the current president's administration, they're focusing on tariffs and kind of like economic standoffs between countries. So we might see some global tension as a result of tariffs or other trade and economic moves made by the current administration. So stuff dealing with the economy, the material, capitalism, stuff like that. Also AI coming into the focus and streamlining a lot of jobs and stuff like that. The advent of AI technology is going to like really, I think, replace a lot of menial labor and stuff like that, especially that done on the computer, as well as with robotics and menial labor in factories and stuff like that. So you might see a lot of changes in like factory work as well as computer work and stuff like that. I think the theme for this is a lot of like consolidation. It's going through. It's like, okay, what do we really need? What do we not need? And then what are we hanging on to our detriment? Too much excess, stuff like that will only be to our detriment. And so it's figuring out what is in excess and what is, just what we need. So there's a few other aspects to Neptune as it enters Aries. It's going to be sextile to Pluto in a 3-degree orb. So we have Pluto in Aquarius right now, age of Aquarius stuff. Pluto in 3 degrees Aquarius, while Neptune will be in 0 degrees Aries. And where did I put mine? There it is. So it's a really good time. This Pluto aspect will be added like a good flavor, especially in Aquarius. And it's a pioneering spirit forward. It's really about getting the kind of like energy to like run that last stretch to the finish line and stuff like that. It's really getting excited about trying new things and doing new things. And like after we've like purged and discarded like karmic patterns from our past and stuff like that, it's about springing forward and finding an excitement to do new things or to see things in a new way or to just enjoy life. And it'll also it'll be a good time to really see potential, whether it be potential in ourselves, potential in our relationships, potential in our careers and stuff like that. It's a really good time for taking stock in terms of our potential and the potentials of other things. So Uranus is also in a sextile with Neptune at 24 degrees Taurus. It puts it at about a 6-degree orb. And this is this primes us for changes in ideas and values and stuff like that. And so it's not like a complete overhaul of our value systems, but it's people know what kind of morals and values they hold. And it's well, if I really want to practice what this aspect of my morality means, it means I have to change my behavior in this way. So it's just taking stock of okay, these are my virtues, my values. What does it really mean to exemplify these? What does it really mean to practice these values that I hold? And it's just being able to have that kind of self-criticism and self-awareness to look and be okay, these behaviors I'm doing are in conflict with what my values actually are and stuff like that. So Uranus here gives us a really good time, especially in Taurus. It might deal with values as it comes to money and stuff like that in the economy. So it's where are my values in terms of wealth and resources and stuff like that? And is what I say match what I actually do and what I actually practice? Mars is trining Neptune for this transit. Trine is at 120 degrees apart. Mars is in 23 degrees Cancer, putting it at a 7-degree orb. And so this is adding the oomph to the desire to cleanse and purge and discard things that we don't need anymore. And also it might be a good time to do exchanges with people, trading, I always try to, I think it's really good to reduce, of course, but reuse and recycle and upcycle and stuff like that. So, baby clothes exchanges or clothing exchanges, stuff like that. We might see more of that happening. That's a good idea. Just finding ways to get rid of our stuff or repurpose it or, just kind of really get down to organizing ourselves. The midheaven is in Capricorn for this chart. This really only applies to the United States. And so unfortunately for us, that means, so the midheaven is quintile, so 72 degrees away from Neptune. And this transit indicates conflicts with authority. Capricorn is a sign of authority, laws, and stuff like that. And so we could see like some civil unrest, as if we're not seeing the beginning stages of that anyway. But this is a good indicator of like civil unrest, specifically in the United States, because the Midhaven here, that's locational based. And I pulled this chart for the Washington, D.C. So it really indicates conflicts with authority when it comes to this transit of Neptune. So we might see more mass protests as well as stricter laws or new policies come down, and other different types of conflict with authority. Everyone's always talking about World War III right now. Always a chance. I don't want to like make any drastic claims as something as big as that. But there is, global tensions have not gone away since the Cold War. Even if our country is very against Russia, our leadership is talking easier with Russia than Ukraine and stuff like that. So there's a very big conflict between our leadership and what they're doing globally and what the country wants and stuff like that. And so these conflicts and tensions might kind of escalate. Different stuff might also happen on the world stage. So that's basically it that I can speak on for right now. I'll probably research this more. I might put out another video for how this transit of Neptune going into Aries will affect us. But I do also personal astrology is how I'm trying to make my living. You can email me if you're interested in getting a chart at the Oracle of Delray at gmail.com. I need your birth date, birth time, and birth location to do an astrological reading. If you do not have a birth time, I can do what's called a birth time rectification, which is I can interview you, ask you a few questions to determine what time we think you were born, and I can do estimates. Here is my pricing list. I will link this slides presentation into the YouTube video so you can access it. I accept payments as well as donations at my Cash App, which is #CoffeeCrow420. And it's a little bit of a funny name, but I appreciate any kinds of donations or purchases of astrology readings. And that about does it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this lended some insight to you, and I will post another video up here soon. Thank you so much for watching.